Special thank you to my YouTube members and patrons for supporting the channel and supporting my content. How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another subreddit video. Today we are going to be returning to r/talesfromtechsupport. This is the subreddit dedicated to stories about people's tech support experiences and how not all of them are great. Very quickly before we begin, I just wanted to mention that there are now Patreon and YouTube member videos going live once a week. So if you want to catch an extra video every single week, please do consider that, as that will be a thing every single week. They will be coming out every Monday, so you get 4 extra videos every single month if you do join my Patreon or YouTube members for the lowest subscription tier of £1 a month. So please consider that if you would like extra content. Other than that, let's get into the subreddit, shall we? HR downplayed my work. Now their software is barely working. So this happened during appraisal season a few months ago. HR told me that I didn't deserve a good raise because apparently all I did throughout the year was bug fixes and improvements. They said I hadn't delivered many features, and features are what actually matter for a raise. Well, fast forward to now. Since I got the hint, I've been focusing on feature development only, just like they wanted. You know what I'm not doing anymore? Improving and maintaining their system. And guess what? Their software is breaking down more and more, becoming harder to use, with all sorts of bugs they conveniently ignored. HR recently complained, saying that things weren't working properly. All I could do was smile and remind them that I'm focused on features now, just like you said. It's funny how suddenly bug fixes and improvements seem important again. Maybe this will teach them not to undervalue the importance of maintenance next time. A lot of the comments were saying like, well, maybe now you should ask retroactively for a raise because you've shown that the things you were doing were in fact important. But as much as I like that idea, I can't see it working because unfortunately with jobs like this, it's always everything is working fine. Why do we even have you here? Everything is going wrong. Why do we even have you here? You know, either you're doing a really good job and they don't realize you're doing a good job and question why you're there, or you're doing a terrible job and they go, why do we even have you if you're doing a terrible job? You know, so it's kind of a lose-lose situation with this kind of thing. They're not going to value your work either way, unfortunately. They only value your work when they directly need you at the time. Teenager tried to insist the drawing in his handwriting was done by the computer. Years ago, while doing tech support at a school, I helped a teenager with an issue on his laptop. His assignment was due that day, but the file was corrupted, so his teacher sent him over to the help desk to get it sorted out. I tried to open the file in Word, no dice. I renamed the file to zip because .docs files are just zip files with the contents inside, still no dice. I opened the file in Notepad to view the raw contents, and in the header I saw the letters PNG, so I renamed the assignment.docs to assignment.png. Staring back at me was the kid's name, scrawled in his own handwriting using the tiny netbook touchpad in orange. I turned the laptop around and said, your document was actually a picture with your name written on it. You'll need to actually do the assignment instead of lying to your teacher. The kid then said to me, I didn't do that. The computer must have done that because I didn't. I just did my assignment and next time I opened the document it wouldn't open. I said, so the computer wrote your name in your handwriting in this particular shade of orange and renamed it to a Word document, overwriting your already completed assignment? They shrugged and said, yeah. So I said, here's your laptop. Head back to class and start working on your assignment. I'll let your teacher know. I mean, that's one way to claim the whole, the dog ate my homework, you know? It's creative, I'll give him that, but also very much not foolproof. I've refunded you in full. Back when I was younger and much dumber, I did some occasional help for a neighbor. It was only the odd thing here and there, small things like setting up a printer or installing software. I never charged for anything. Said neighbor started a business and started to rely more and more on their PC, so these little requests for help became more frequent. Then started the I need this urgently, please come assist ASAP, etc. No offer of money was ever made. I was also doing a fair bit of study, worked a part-time job, and had somewhat of a social life, so I wasn't really interested in charging money and any of the responsibilities and risks that come with it. I did tell the neighbor, whilst I would help as much as I can, if they rely on their computer for their business, it might be worthwhile getting a paid IT person. Their attitude was basically, why would I pay someone when you do it for free? Anyway, one day something breaks on a Monday or Tuesday, and I mentioned I couldn't take a look until the weekend, due to study, work, etc. They said that won't do. They really need me to take a look, and if I could rearrange a few things so that I could look today or tomorrow. I say I can't. They mention that isn't good enough. They rely on their computer, and I need to fix it ASAP. At this point, I've pretty much had enough. Me. I'm sorry my services haven't met your needs. I will give you a full refund for my services so far. Them. I don't think I've actually paid you anything, have I? No. Therefore, the refund is complete. I think they got the hint. Honestly, the first point for me to be out, if this was me, and they were like having all these issues and getting me to work for them more and more and more without paying me. And I said, honestly, you need to get an IT guy because this is your career. And they said, why would I do that when I can get you to do it for free? I would have been like, all right, I'm out. If that's how you're going to treat me, and if that's the kind of respect you have for the work I'm doing for you for free, I'm not going to do this work for you anymore, because that's a really shit mentality to have. Go pay someone, I'm out. I would have left, because no, am I going to be doing work for someone as ungrateful as that? Someone forgot to tell the help desk kid that today was a half day. My dad and I were recently talking about the time I worked at the same company as him, and I reminded him about this story where I was left alone in tech support closet because of an email error by his team. Many years ago, my very first job was as the help desk for a company of 400 plus employees. My office was literally a converted closet in the back corner of the building, and my entire purpose was to sit there and wait for someone in the building to call me so I could assist them with technical issue. When I first started, I was paranoid of doing anything wrong which could get me fired, so I didn't even use the computer or browse the internet. I just sat there each day staring at an analog phone waiting for someone to call for technical help. Unbeknownst to me, the company occasionally had a surprise half day on a random Friday. The CEO would email the company informing everyone they could leave at noon and start their weekend early. Unfortunately, since I was new and had not been added to the all mailing list, a task owned by my dad's team, and was not informed of this occasion, and no one thought to check on the help desk kid sitting in the back closet to make sure he knew to leave early, so my first surprise half day was spent sitting in a closet alone, staring at a desk phone, diligently waiting for a call from someone, anyone, when the entire company had left 4 hours earlier. I only realized something was amiss when I walked to my car at the end of the day and the entire parking lot was empty. To add salt to my wounds, when I arrived home, my dad just asked, "What took you so long?" Thanks, Dad. Would have been nice if your team had added me to the email list. Oh, that sucks. That almost feels like one of those like new guy hazing things, you know, like how whenever you have an apprentice or a new guy on a construction site, they always like send them off to get things that don't exist from hardware stores or various things like that. It almost feels like one of those. The fact that the guy responsible for adding you to the list was your own dad as well, that just makes me believe it has to have been deliberate, you know, it has to have been. The sideways stylus. Last year we purchased a bunch of new laptops for most of our staff. They come with a battery-powered stylus that is recharged when you reinsert it into the laptop. Being a stylus with metal pins, it needs to and can only be inserted one way into the laptop. If you try and insert it any other way, it physically will not fit and you're met with an awful lot of resistance. You can see where this story is going. So yesterday someone walked through the door. We'll call her Beryl. She dropped her laptop off because of some issues she was having with displaying an image on a secondary screen. When I looked at it, I saw that the stylus wasn't inserted correctly. So I went to grab it to reinsert it properly, however it wouldn't budge. There's a small lip on the end of the stylus, so you can pull it out with your fingernail. So I grabbed a flathead screwdriver and tried to pull it out that way, but it still wouldn't budge. In the end, I had to grab a pair of pliers and apply a bunch of force to remove it. Beryl had attempted to reinsert the stylus, found it wouldn't fit, and so instead of rotating it to see if it had fit, she pushed so goddamn hard that it put a hairline crack in the base and got the stylus wedged in hard enough that the pliers were needed. And when she was quizzed on how it got stuck, she claimed to not know that the stylus even existed, which my boss called bullshit on immediately. I'm at a total loss to explain her thought process behind that. It's a fundamental square peg round hole thing. I can't post a photo here, but I'll leave one in the comments and if anyone wants to chuckle. So this is the picture, and it's not even subtle. Like, it's not even a little bit subtle. Like, it's obviously the wrong shape. Not only is it the wrong shape, but there's that triangular lip bit like they mentioned so that you can remove the thing. But even like on the stylus, there's a little trough that clearly lines up with the kind of beveled trough that goes around the casing of the laptop so that it looks the same and sits more flush. Like, it's not even subtle. they always forget about the IT department. This one is from a few years ago, but I was reminded of it today, so I figured I'd share. My desk used to be near our help desk, which was handy because they could easily come around the corner and ask me questions as needed. It was also a great spot for listening for drama going on. One day I'm working and hear one of our guys talking with a client. Everything was going fine until I hear him ask, "Wait, aren't we in the same building? Call me back later if you're still having issues." He hung up and let us know that his caller had said her building was being evacuated because of a bomb threat. Then he realized that we're all in the same building. No one had alerted us yet. We were standing there trying to figure out if we should evacuate too, when I look over and see people streaming out of the fire exit just outside our office and suggested we do the same. Everything ended up being fine, it was a false alarm, but one of our next projects was setting up an alert software that could notify people on their desk phones if an issue like that came up again. Honestly, this is a situation where I feel like you should or could sue. Right? This is a genuine threat on your life. This is something that if you had not been informed about and the threat had been real, you and your department could be dead or injured. That is actually worthy of a lawsuit and to make sure that it never happens again, because God, that's horrible. Like, that's a horrible thing. I hope that you got any kind of recompensation for that, because Jesus, that's not okay. But that's where I'm going to end the video, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed. Interesting tales from tech support we've had today. A bit of a roller coaster, but God, am I always amazed at how little people actually know about technology or the things that go wrong. That stylus one was something, huh? Anyway, if you would like to support me in making more content like this, I have a Patreon in the description down below, or equally click on that join button on the channel to support me. It helps a lot more than you might realize, but by no means should you feel like you have to. I'm going to keep making content regardless. A huge, massive special thank you to all of the wonderful YouTube members and patrons that do support me. All of your names are on screen and it genuinely helps so much, so thank you to everybody that does. And as I mentioned earlier, everybody that does support me through Patreon and YouTube members, you get access to an extra video every single week. So if you want that, please do consider joining. It's for as low as £1 a month. You get access to 4 new videos every single month, so please do consider that. And also in the future you'll have the whole backlog of videos to access, so please do consider that. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Peace out.